Hey everyone, it's Evangeline right here at eTrailer. Today we have the Carpod Waterproof Roof Cargo Bag. This is going to be a 15 cubic foot bag that you can just put onto your roof, whether you have raised rails, roof rack, or nothing whatsoever. It's designed to fit different types of vehicles. We're going to take a look at some of its features right here. If you need a lot of extra cargo space, maybe you're going on this big road trip or you're moving out for college, then what you might need to do is expand upon your car because you might not have enough space in your trunk or in your hatch. The first solution a lot of people go with is to put a basket or a box on their hitch receiver. In fact, Carpod even has this popular cage that goes onto your hitch and uses a similar bag to keep your items protected. But if you don't have a hitch receiver, your next option is to put it on your roof. And that's where the Carpod Cargo Bag comes in handy. This is for people that want a little bit more versatility compared to a roof box, but they still want something waterproof. Now it is the affordable solution because you do have to do some extra steps. It does have a little extra hassle involved, plus it can get pretty annoying to reach into that bag if you have to do it multiple times a day. But for some situations, maybe once a year trips or just every now and then, this might be a good option for you. Technically, this bag is 43 inches long by 33 inches wide and 18 inches tall. But because it's a bag, you can move around in those measurements. Depending on your different items, like we have a really large suitcase in the middle, and then we just have our smaller bags around the sides, we're able to move things around to fit within the bag. This is a lot of space, enough for moving maybe your small apartment clothes and items from one point to another, or if you have a couple suitcases, they can fit in here. This opens up a lot of space, but where you do have to be careful with is the weight. Especially since this can sit directly on the roof of your car, weight capacity isn't really something I can give exact numbers for. Roof weight capacity is different from car to car and even trim to trim. If you're attaching this to your roof rack or not, that might change things too. The bag itself only weighs 10 pounds, and that's going to be with the pad, the straps, and the whole bag. And then from there, use your best judgment to not overweigh the roof of your car. And this is waterproof, and the way this accomplishes that is it is made of a heavy-duty 600-gram tarpaulin. So it's not just a tarpaulin that you would find on your signs and posters, but you do have pretty much 2 layers of this tarp. And then holding the layers together, you have these high-heat welded seams. You also have waterproof seams for your zipper. And this is hidden underneath a lip, which goes over and is secured by hook and loop straps. So a lot of things are working together to keep your cargo safe from the outside elements. What is not waterproof though are these straps. So we have these buckles, and these are what are holding our bag down, and these can get wet. So if you do run into a rain shower or a storm, that's fine, but just make sure that these straps dry out before you put the bag away. And if you're concerned about water getting into your car, well, the way this secures inside your door is you have hooks that are stored inside the rubber weather strip. So if you install this properly and if you have a good flush fit around those hooks, then the weather strip will guide the water away from your door and then out to the side. These are going to be smaller hooks, which are great because then they're not going to take up too much space in your door, but definitely a little bit more intrusive compared to something that directly attaches to your roof rack. The first thing people ask when we talk about roof cargo bags is, does it sit directly on the paint of the roof? And the answer here is sort of. We do have this non-skid pad, which is pretty much the same material as the shelf liner that you'll find inside your cabinets. And this is gonna be our protection between our bag and our roof. It'll prevent the bag from sliding it around, but also give a little bit of cushion there. And even if there is a bit of the bag that might make contact, it is made of that tarpaulin material. What you do have to be careful though is your excess straps. There will be a lot of strap left over once you tighten down your roof bag, and you really have to be careful with tying up that excess strap, because this could be what makes contact with your roof, and you may then develop scratches and scuffs over time. The main differences that you are going to get between different brands is how that bag secures to your vehicle, as well as the size that you can get this bag in. 15 cubic feet, which is what you will find with the Carpod, is a very versatile size, very popular, good middle of the road where you have a lot of cargo space, but you don't have a lot of space that you take up on top of the car. Now, if you cannot fully load up the bag though, too much cargo space can be a bad thing. We talked about straps flying around. Well, imagine if there was a lot of fabric that was loose, that can catch wind and add a lot of wind drag and wind noise. In that situation, I would recommend taking a look at the Right Line Gear Sport series of bags, especially the Sport Junior. For a single person that just has suitcases and duffel bags, that might be a great alternative to the larger Carpod bag. But if you have a lot of cargo and you want an easy way to carry around and you're not quite ready to invest into a roof rack and roof basket, then the Carpod rooftop cargo bag is still going to be a good option for you. As for how it gets installed, well, let's go take a look at that. Before getting your roof bag installed, what I like to do first is I just like to prep the roof of the vehicle. If it's dirty, I just clean it off and make sure there's not any debris on it. That way we're not scratching it up when we put our liner on the roof. This is just gonna be a soft liner. Fits straight on there. Just gonna unfold it where we want our roof bag to go. When placing your bag on top of that liner, you want to make sure it's lined up properly. So in the front and the back, there's going to be the Carpod logo. And the way you'll figure out the front is it's going to be the side without any zippers. The back will look very similar, but it will have a zipper as well as a hook and loop patch in the back. So now that we know which side is the front, which side is the back, we're just going to carefully lift this onto the roof, making sure that everything sits on that shelf or that roof liner. Every vehicle's roof is shaped differently, so some good tips for where you put your bag is if you do have a slope, bring it a bit further back. Try to keep your bag as level as possible. Plus, to avoid too much wind drag, having your bag at least 8 inches away from your front windshield will help out with that. You will get these hooks that will go into your door. Now every car is going to be different for how you detach the weather stripping, but having your bag up front really helps out with figuring out where you need to put that hook. I'm currently using a plastic trim panel tool, and that's going to make it a lot easier to push down on our weather stripping here. Once we get that down, we can then attach our hook. This goes into the door, push the weather stripping back up, and then you can slam the door on that just to double check that it's all seated. You have different options for strapping down your bag. If you have a roof rack with crossbars in the front and the back, you have these straps over here. These can connect around the roof rack, and you can see that they're facing forward and backward. However, if you don't have a roof rack or roof rails, then you're going to have to fold those straps up and tighten them down so they're not flapping around in the wind. The only ones you would use are going to be the side straps. So there's a center side strap already attached to the bag, but your front and back side straps, you have to fit through the loops up top. Once they fit through both loops, you then secure the straps into your door hooks. If you have raised rails, you don't even need to install those door anchors. You can just wrap the strap around the raised rail. Whichever method you do use, make sure if you have excess strap to either use these strap keepers, which is a hook and loop strip to secure it, or you can just put the excess strap in your door as an option. All of this will work together so you don't have things just flopping around and flying around once you get up to speed. But with all that being said, that's pretty much it for how you set your bag up onto your roof. Some people like to set up their bag while it is on the roof, especially if you have heavier items. If you're all by yourself, then you only have to worry about one cargo item at a time. But for me, an easier way to go about this is to load your cargo bag while it's on the ground. Put the cargo in, zip it up, and then have a friend help you lift it up and onto your roof fully loaded. Doing it that way makes it a bit easier to maneuver and you're not climbing up and down your car as often. What you saw here were different features of the Carpod rooftop bag, the material it's made of, how it gets set up on your car, and how you might use it whether you have a naked roof or a roof rack with rails. You saw all that at etrailer.com. My name's Evangeline, and I hope you enjoyed the journey.